Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to an exciting and everything amazing Propagandacast with me, your host from Pearl Dane, the one, the only master propaganda hero site defender of the fatherland, off into glorious 1v1 on the road to Tunis. In the west stands Longyuaak, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, fighting here for the Deutsche Sache Germany. Here with the 10th Panzer Division in the east stands Stephenn, fighting for America, freedom, democracy, here with the 1st Armoured Division. And we got a bit of an interesting start here already here from Longyuaak, going for a, briefly looked like it was double cartridge and such, just cartridge and into Panzerpioniere. Less exciting though. We're interested to see what he's planning with, like double motorbikes, but alas, we cannot have everything. And these there we got a fast Jeep out of Stephenn, very much part and parcel to seems of the American metagame to a good degree here at the moment. So of course rushing that one out with veterans who want to immediately grab stuff here. And also do some aggressive reconnaissance versus his opponent here, catching here the Jeep, or catching him with the Jeep quite aggressively. Stephenn does not slow down in the early game. And as always, a big hearty thanks to my Patreon supporters who helps keep the propaganda running through thick and thin. So big hearty thanks to all those. More Panzerpioniere for Longyuaak. Meanwhile, Stephenn sitting out there with the scouts of the Jeep aggressively looking to disrupt his opponent's early game as magnificently as possible to appear. No battle group choice here though for Longyuaak. Trying to get some Samex down in the carve point. Stephenn though is just being an absolute menace here, channeling his inner Australian as much as possible. Up north here, Panzerpioniere catching out to the scouts there. We got another Panzer squad heading southwards, trying to stay clear here of the menacing Jeep. Rifleman arriving here to start grabbing the fuel point there for Stephenn. I mean, he's just been so obsessed with messing with his opponent's capture order, he's yet to secure himself his own fuel point. North in the northern trenches, scouts here are being obliterated by the Panzerpioniere. No mercy there. 4th Panzerpioniere squad here for Longyuaak and the 10th Panzer Division's 10th Panzerpioniere Battalion. 2nd Panzerpioniere Company. Jeep cartridge and rushing northwards again. Looks to be another clash here between these two destined foes. Cartridge being pushed back here by the Jeep, being bullied off the front line. We got Panzerpioniere moving in though to assist, focusing down the Jeep all of a sudden, but will it be enough for the cartridge and the Panzerpioniere to take down the Jeep? Meanwhile, Rifleman are firing for Stephenn on the front line to take on the Germans, rather than just being left to grab the points so the Jeep gets to do all the exciting stuff. And we got our 5th Panzerpioniere squad here for Longyuaak. This is definitely getting a bit more interesting. You typically only see 4 Panzerpioniere, but this man truly lives the Panzerpioniere dream, whatever that one exactly is. Ralph squad here moving straight into the cartridge, and the Panzerpioniere Jack there drops dead, as if they're shot by a lot of Germans, which by coincidence he was. Cartridge and pushing forwards here, bike rushing towards the base here. Panzerpioniere there, faced with both the Jeep and the Rifleman, under a great degree of pressure here, and I imagine scrutiny from Longyuaak. Panzerpioniere sneaking about, could perhaps threaten the fuel point to get behind here. Stephenn's vanguard of freedom and democracy. Straight for the fuel point again. We got a light support company at the very edge of his base here, right before Stephenn's very eyes, so Stephenn will absolutely be 100% sure his opponent's building it. If he like those, any amount of hesitancy from Stephenn. There you go, veteran on the cartridge and Rifleman there now marked for death by the German army. Oh, more than already. Rifleman there being ferociously shot apart here by Longyuaak's men. In the south here, we got the Panzerpioniere bank to disable the Pathfinders, or the Scouts, not Pathfinders. Jeep then need repairs. Ralph squad going for the high munitions point here. Cartridge rushing southwards. Panzerpioniere being pushed down all directions.
I hope they didn't hit something important.
Cartridge and just still at it. Rifleman there, of course, marked once more in the south. Panzerpioniere there, down to 1 man. Will need to retreat here. And there you go. Longyuaak finds retreat button, hits it, slams it as hard as he can here without breaking his keyboard. Or his mouse, I suppose, depending on how he decides to order the retreat. Almost got the carve point back here, but Stephenn's harassment just remains absolutely on point. Jeep there conducting some self-repairs. Back in Stephenn's base, we got the infantry support sent up here, also very much the standard here in the USF metagame at the moment, because getting out a frame from the squad with a light machine gun is typically considered quite good. Plus the other upgrades part of it, of course, are also quite nice. So that, of course, adds an extra element there to the whole strategy that Stephen's got going. We got here the scouts possibly at the mercy here of Longyuaak. Could be wiped out here by the men of the 10th Panzer Division here. Jeep slowly approaching Red Sea 2 here. Could see a wipe here, yeah. Wipe there on Stephen's scout. A small one there for Longyuaak and the German army. And certainly while in terms of like build order and everything, Stephenn is very much metagaming. I would say how he's employing it though is significantly more aggressive than the average USF player. I mean, that's certainly also, I think, quite worth pointing out there. I mean, he may just be going for the same strategy as most higher-ranking USF players doing it, but how he's executing it, I think, is a bit on another level here. So, thumbs up to Stephenn there. In the centre, Captain catching the Panzer Pioneer up. Longyuaak, meanwhile, moving straight to the Mechanized Company. Could be then the Armoured and the Marders to put pressure on Stephenn that way. He's also got like a fair amount of manpower floating about here. Perhaps he's planning some assault groups or Panzer groups here. We'll have to see. Ambulance, no, cancels it. Cancels it. I mean, he could go for one of these groups and then alongside the Armoured. And then the use of the 250 half-track for healing. I think he's going to do that at least briefly. He use it as a temporary ambulance. Straight for the fuel point. Again, Stephenn is relentless.
Support company has sustained damage.
So, got Basil on the move. Ralph's caught there and once more marked again. Panzer is pushing forwards after they're being used as the ambulance here for Longyuaak, so he can just be as short he can get out that Armoured as soon as possible versus Stephenn. Victory points wise, Stephenn's also got strongly the Longyuaak for the moment. Ralph's caught their low and healthy. Karchitsen just keeps at it. Cap now, they're also in the fight here at the front line, leading his men from a mostly safe distance. Panzer is about to get wiped out here. 250 half-track pushing forward. Some of the flamethrower pioneers in it. This could get quite uncomfortable for Stephenn. No, swings into deep with the rifleman there. Could have maybe gone for a wipe here on the rifleman there. Fortunate for Stephenn that Longyuaak decided against that. Mortars being hauled up. Armoured on the way here finally for Longyuaak and the 10th Panzer Division. And we got Granatbüchsen on the way here for Longyuaak. Most DAK players I find tend to be fans of the Flammenwerfer, but he is more of a Granatbüchse man, it would appear. Mines on the car point there, 250 half-track, almost got the Jeep, but no, the Jeep once more zooms to safety. Of course, we got a lot of Panzer Pioneers who could arguably just really rapidly fix the 250 half-track. Armoured narrowly around the corner in the south, Ralph's walk around the point. And there we go, we got the Armoured out here.
The territory sector has been claimed by the enemy.
Got the centre. He's eating up. Northern points east of the Karchitze. Super close to Veterancy 2. Armoured moving about south here. Probably also looking to threaten the retreat path of Riflemen. So if Stephenn, like, you know, 6 rounds too long, there's a chance of a wipe here. And this, that way, indirectly adds pressure here to Stephenn, forcing him to retreat sooner than he otherwise might have liked because, again, of that implied threat or wipe there. Flammenwerfer for Pioneers, ultimately we got the Granatbüchsen joining in. Mines there, halted. Stephenn's situation is getting a bit more pressure. We got the motor pull up here, anti-tank on the way. Up north, Jeep with rifle there continues to be an absolute thorn here along Longyuaak's side. Armoured pulling ahead here with its autocannon and coaxial machine gun. In the center here, the captain is very much at the risk of getting a posthumous promotion here. Yup. Guy just became a major. Keep that being pushed back. Possibly anyways. 250 half-track. Armoured heading northwards here. Might try to bait his opponent into the mines here, but then again he also risks the mines getting set off under him, which would be a bit worse there for Stephenn. South the anti-tank getting ready. Keep once more in need of repairs. Longyuaak starting to push for that map control and pushed his men into a mine. We got a Marder 3 here ready to provide crucial anti-tank support here with its converted Soviet Zis gun. Fun fact there, by the way, the Germans captured a lot of them and would use a lot of them as anti-tanks. Then again, a bunch of them would then end up on the Marder series. So, Little fun story there. Another assault here being prepared by Stephenn for freedom and democracy. We got a Greyhound out here. Of course, he is at this point, I think, not quite aware of the Marder fleet. Of course, he might be anticipating a Marder fleet. Rav scored there in a dangerous situation. We got the Atrat pushing forward straight at the Atrat here, but of course also the Marder. There you go. Punishing hit here through the Greyhound side armor. Definitely not made for receiving that caliber of shot there. Atrat though getting pummeled 250 after getting hammered here by the Americans. Jeep finally goes down, slain by the Marder. And the 250 half-track also is combusted as the M1 anti-tank gun lights it up like illicit fireworks. In the south here, Panzer Pioneer with the Grenade Büchse as the rifle squad there. Atrat though being pulled in though. Low on health. High an opportunity there for Stephenn. Back here, nothing further there for Stephenn, though we do have the triage center up there. And another mod here from Longyuaak. And we got the Armoured Support. In this case, superior fire drills to improve the coaxial machine gun on the Atrat.
Enemy forces have taken our territory.
That thing is still in heavy need of repairs. Armoured Support has certainly become a lot more popular as of late. Ambulance are there for Longyuaak to provide healing for his men. That's not to say that for some tank combine ups doesn't see some usage. Still, it does, but it's just not quite as popular. And Italian infantry, just at least for the 1v1 metagame, just doesn't see a lot of usage. Part because the Italian light tank buffs, I think, weren't quite as impactful. But also, I just don't think Italian infantry as a battle group is, like, very cohesive at the moment. It's a bit all over the place, and so I think comparatively lacks a direction. Ambulance ready there. He's going for more Granatenbüchse, or is that just my imagination? Oh, he is in fact going for more Granatenbüchse. Fancy that. Stephenn there gaining the northern side of the map here. Mortars there, of course, being brought up as well. South side rifleman poking forwards here. We got more riflemen there for Stephenn, more infantry hauled to the front line here.
At once. We shall have additional forces available.
We got the double Mards in reserve, clearly concerned about Stephenn like hitting him with the light vehicles out of nowhere. Or perhaps even like, already now mentally preparing himself for the incoming onslaught of EC8s at some point. This is also a very much conceivable option here for Longyuaak. By the way, Mard is being hauled forwards here. Shoots at the Greyhound. Misses. And tank rifles do not enter in their nice position. Forces back here along Longyuaak's Marder flees. We got here the support elements, so guessing Stug D's or a surprise twist could be the recovery half-track, but I'm not sure about that. We got the Panzer Pioneer 40, bit of block formation, but the anti-tank rifle in the front rifles definitely highlights to Stephenn that his current position is perhaps not quite as formidable as he'd like it to be. Marder's just hanging back here. Atrat pressuring up north. We got BARs up there for Stephenn. Freedom and democracy. Of course, amplitude happens next for Stephenn. And for Longyuaak. The marking there as well up north of the assault goes in here. Committing the vast number of his Panzer Pioneer. In fact, he's committing all of them. All 5 squads here. And the Atrat here. Stephenn's forces now move towards the center, are not ready for such a move. In fact, due to the way things are positioned, he can actually easily move up his forces to the center, respond to the team's assault. We also got the marching up there, clearly getting too close. And there you go, anti-tank grenade off for Stephenn. And Marder there with a damaged engine. So in the end, though, the thing didn't quite go off as smoothly here as Longyuaak would like to, and Stephenn, well, didn't really lose as much as he would have worried about either, I suppose. So I guess it kind of worked out for Stephenn, for now at least, but that can of course rapidly change in the blink of an eye. Bit of shots there on the Greyhound. Back here, nothing further really happening there for Longyuaak. Actually planning more Atrats, but again, it's also possible he's planning the Sturmgeschütz 3 as von D. For something a bit more direct in terms of anti-infantry. A bit more explosive too. We'll have to see in the center. Ralph squad bombarded. Ralph squad he got too close with the armored car. Stephenn committing more force to the center north. We got mines as well here to catch up any German direct assaults. Large route there. Nice hit from the anti-tank rifle there. Not anti-tank rifle, but grenade launcher there on the Greyhound. And we got another Armoured in the end here though from Longyuaak. Those two Ds. Which is sort of what you'd expect him to go for them if he went for like the support armor elements, but oh well. Ralph scored here, close being wiped out. And there we go. Wipe on Stephenn. That is going to hurt. Victory points wise, situation all signs to look a bit rough here for Stephenn. His lead has, at this point, very much vanished into thin air.
300 points remaining. Say again, 300 points remaining.
Of course, he's quick to turn the tide after that. After that, they're close phase 2. Got 12 kills on it so far. Definitely making an impact on Stephenn's infantry. Looks like he's lining up for another push here. Though, of course, needs to be mindful of both mines and the anti-tank gun. It's surprised we haven't seen more anti-tank guns from Stephenn, considering like what so far Longyuaak is unleashing against him. And of course, if he does, it will be interesting to see then how Longyuaak responds to that.
Start filling those sacks.
Sandbags. Aha, they're also getting out. Back at base, not much else happening, and battle group-wise as well. There's a bit of a silence as well, if you will. Not much happening there. Mines being prepared, clearly looking to absorb any assault here from Stephenn. Very quiet otherwise. Victory points-wise, it's close. Incredibly close. And we got a third martyr. That is a lot of martyrs. So, I imagine part of it, of course, he obviously wants that Greyhound dead, but it has to be also like just these EC8s are really weighing heavily on his mind at this point. He was like committing to so many martyrs. So into the anti-tank gun, which of course easily pierces the armor of the martyr. These things were not exactly heavily armored. Weapon pushing forward grenades here, going back and forth here. Artguard's also joining in. Third martyr now joining in. Do you have any upgrades here? We do have the vehicle survival package and emergency repair kits. Very much the standard upgrades for a lot of DAK players. Right from there being absolutely ripped asunder there by the two armored cars, the autocannons making short work of the GIs. Now they're entering here for Stephenn. The DAK can struggle a bit with the more heavy anti-tanks gun builds there. You don't necessarily always have the easiest of tools for dealing with it. Now mind just being heavily reliant on lighter vehicles, that does make for some great target opportunities for anti-tank guns, particularly in the hands of a competent player. South side here being prepared. Moving in with the Greyhound, straight into the Panzer Pionier. Down to just 2 men already, an excellent hit here from Stephenn's Greyhound. Martyrs there going down south, but I imagine Stephenn's already getting the ground out of there before the Martyrs arrive. In fact, he's kind of bringing up the anti-tank guns in anticipation of the Martyrs. North side, really not seeing a lot of action from Martyrs. I feel like, you know, for Longyuaak there'd be a lot of great progress to be made up here against Stephenn, but he's not too keen on it. But that might also be because of the way he sort of like, you know, handles his units. There's a tend to like just ball up a lot of the time. Which can at times make a difference to like actually control the map, because it means he's got like no troops elsewhere to like even defend a bit. Things getting heated up around the center. Oh my god, he hit the mine with both Armoured. That is some incredible luck there for Stephenn, but incredibly bad luck there for Longyuaak. Only sort of bit of fortune for Longyuaak is that Stephenn doesn't really have the forces to like finish off the armored cars, but still, that is really awkward. He also lost the Panzer squad here, and they're dealing here with the advancing Martyrs. Quickly falls in the way here, even pushing forward here, but the grenade launch, you see, continues to make a bit of an impact here on Stephenn's forces. As a side note, the Granatenbüchse 39 was basically just a converted anti-tank rifle. They basically sort of, you know, shortened the barrel and just used it as a grenade launcher. Fun fact. And the grenades used were actually just basically anti-tank rifle grenades and anti-tank rifle grenades, so Another fun fact there.
Fuel point.
So there's a significant portion here of Longyuaak's vehicle pool that is just doing nothing. And Stephenn, of course, exploiting this to push up the south here. Very good here. And it does highlight a bit of weakness here in Longyuaak's strategies to a degree. Do have a machine gun up now. That should help a bit as well here. As for Stephenn, we actually got a weapon support center. And we got the armored personnel carrier, the M3. Could be going here for the court mount there, possibly in anticipation of the anti-tank loader here from armored support. Starting to be a very good idea. Plus, you know, very handy versus infantry as well.
Repairs completed.
They found us.
269 versus 223. More to find the Panzer Pioneer by the southern point. Longyuaak bring up his armoured cars as murders, expecting the south side here to be the next major battlefield with the two mines going off here. Route Squad on the centre setting off a mine here, losing only Bob. And the Greyhound rushing south. It's Panzer Pioneer in the top spot. Artgards, Marders, they're red. There you go. Grant's going to be mauled here by the Marders. Full volley, but only one Marder hits. The others just hit anything else. And the Route Squad's about to get wiped out. There you go. That's a nice wipe here for Longyuaak. That's another wipe in Stephen's infantry, by the way. We got the half-track just hanging back here for now, enjoying the sights of north here. Route coming to the triple Panzer Pioneer with plenty of anti-tank rifles. There's even like a BAR. Oh, that's an anti-tank rifle, so doubt anyone's going to really want to grab that. Oh, he did pick it up, actually. In fact, there's another anti-tank rifle left behind here. At this point, he's going to end up losing the Panzer Pioneer. Yep, he's going to lose them. Unless he gets exceedingly lucky, which he didn't. So that ended up just being a waste of manpower and munitions there for him, for all intents and purposes. Grenades off on the Panzer Pioneer, and then the centre, Stephen's forces also advancing. First Armour Division not slowing down. Round just hanging back. Machine gun being bounded by Stephen's mortar. We got 269 on 82. Stephen's victory points are back to bleeding out here versus Longyuaak. Mine goes off. Holy smoke, staying out the entire time. That's because it was an M6 anti-tank mine. Probably had some damage there as well. Crikey. Stephenn is getting some great value out there. And with the distraction that, he summons forth the Shermanese there. Already with the assault units raiding along on it. And Armada goes down as well. He's Stephenn really starting to deliver those punches here to Longyuaak. Artgards and Marders ablaze here, and what is his plan? He's not taking up. He's just going to keep pushing in Artgards and Marders here versus Stephenn. Was there something else here we're not sort of seeing yet? Got that easy hit pushing up northwards here. The Assault is quickly getting off the ride. We got another Marder here for Longyuaak and the 10th Panzer Division. We do have the M16 half-track here ready. It's for 50 cals. Then we got another Artgards. So it would appear that Longyuaak is heavily married to the idea of just relying a lot on Marders and Artgards. But part of me can't help avoid the feeling maybe we should consider like taking up for some Panther 3s. That's just me. That's another Marder 3 back to, well, 3 Marder 3s. Straight and anti-tank here in the south. Here we got the Marders versus the ground, and it finally goes down. Anti-tank outmaneuvered here by the Artgards, tearing into them here in the center. More pressure being applied here. Looks like Longyuaak is kind of on the offensive, but it's not coming out some losses here, and the Artgard almost gets knocked out by the anti-tank guns. Mine goes off here, or it's an anti-tank grenade. Can't quite tell either way. The engine is heavily damaged. In the center, Panzer making great progress, but the EC8 counterattacks here. And the RT is going to go down to the EC8. There we go. Another armored car left ablaze here on the road to Tunis. And Armada also gets knocked out. Mines exploding left, right, and center here. Casualties are piling up on both sides, but I do suspect his Stephenn has the upper hand at this point, somewhat at least. And she's compared to like really lost to Greyhound compared to like multiple Artgards and Marders now here for Longyuaak. Machine gun here is the M16. What will Longyuaak now do? He's just going to again keep churning out those Marders and Achtrats, or will there be something else? The up north Panzerpioniers, they assault units closing in with the Grace guns on the Panzerpioniere. Grenades chucked, but ultimately chucked too far. The Achtrad moving up, but it's not going to be, I think, enough to save the Panzerpioniere. They are forced to withdraw here. Send them used for the first arm as well. Got Panzerpioniere being murdered. And the EC is falling back here for some repairs that are heavily needed.
The enemy has lowered our victory points to 250.
Units forced off the center as well here. The fight just keeps being quite intense and active here. Mortar firing down here on his men here in the center. Another Achtrad, he just does not slow down. No sign of the Flammenpanzer, command tank, or battlefield salvage. In fact, going for this battlefield salvage could be a really handy thing, at least for getting himself some more fuel and manpower. And maybe pushing for some tanks. We'll have to see what he does. Meanwhile, EC at their repairs. I would not be surprised if we get another one here for Stephenn. We got 227 versus 170. Delayed fuse barrages here from Stephenn's mortar.
Armored car has entered the
And that's another Achtrad ready. Rifleman sending out the M16 holding back. Another Marder here. He believes in the Marder. He believes, or, you know, he just thinks they're worth the cost, how little they are. And they do, you know, are quite efficient for the cost. They are quite efficient. Got the easy rushing off against the Panzerpioniere. Great shot there. Almost got them wiped here. In the south, we got the Achtrad catching the last squad up at the southern fuel point here. Or munitions point. High, by the way. Do have some smoke here, but clearly not enough here for Stephenn's men. Well, the ones that are left, anyways. Marder versus the EC8, but there's just too many threats supporting the EC8 for the Marder to really be able to safely just, you know, fire away at it. North here, Panzerpioniers, the assault units getting the assault units up close, they're just beating and they're stuffing out the assault units. Do get another concussive grenade here.
Territory lost.
Looks like we're looking at another intense engagement in the center as Stephenn's bring up anti-tank guns and the EC here as the Achtrads. There you go. Another armored car completely combusted.
The unit has died in
Quite a blow there to Longyuaak. Quite the blow. And the machine's about to get wiped as well by the delayed fuse explosive barrage, but does get away there narrowly. Southern points being seized for the Panzerpioniere. We got 208 versus 170. Center being seized. Triple Marders at the ready, but the network of anti-tank guns is making it difficult for like Longyuaak to just catch the EC8 and wreck it as easily. And there you go. Stephenn and the 1st Armoured Division calls forth another EC8 here to take on the Germans. Could be flanking in on Longyuaak, perhaps not. At the point though, the way he's sort of moving about does mark it out as a really big target for the Marders. Perhaps that was his intent, perhaps not. Active fire the Achtrad mounting Suffets here. He's going to go for that EC8 here. He smells blood, but could be a mistake in the way he's moving about his Marders. Expose them to a lot of fire here from Longyuaak. We've got air support called in here. Luftwaffe strikes down. Almost got the M16 here. Clearly prioritizing the biggest threat to his aircraft here. Almost got the Achtrad, but almost got the M16 as well. In there you go. Got the M16. Well, the Achtrad, not the M16. Meanwhile, Marders are exploding as well. They are bursting into sparks and flames here. Longyuaak very much looking at the end of his rope here. He's losing men, he's losing vehicles, he's losing tank destroyers at a prodigious rate. And there we go. It is a GG, a loss here for Longyuaak. Victory for Stephenn, freedom and democracy. Quite a fierce fight here with some really intense and aggressive maneuvers here, but Stephenn, particularly in the early game there, certainly showing that, you know, while build rules might be the same, how they'd actually use what you got can be an entirely different matter. So that was quite interesting to watch here from Stephenn, but also Longyuaak. I do think Longyuaak, while initially had some good ideas there, I think he got too caught up in just Armoured and Armoured, and I think he should have probably looked to adapt somehow. Like, he would have brought up maybe some like artillery, you could take that further for Panzer Fleets and Stukas of Fusses. Like, there's a lot of things you got on. You like try to like push out some Flampanzer Fleas, you know, basically just adapt just a bit, but it seems like he was a bit too married here to his strategy and refused to adapt it in any form or manner. Compared when looking at what he was up against and what Stephenn was doing, and I do think that was probably like what cost him the game in the long run. Where Stephenn, I think, was fairly flexible, adaptable, but also just again consistently much more aggressive. So there you go. Hope you enjoyed this match. You'll learn something from it. If you did, subscribe, like, share, comment, tell your friends, tell your family, but don't tell me. You can also support the Propagandacast by donating or playing on Patreon. Support the worth it there. So thank you all for joining in, and see you all tomorrow for another exciting and glorious episode. Bye everyone.